Good morning. Welcome. So nice to be back and greet everyone here today. A great joy. I would like to express my deepest gratitude to each one of you, to all the staff. This past month, we had the opportunity to have the pilgrimage to Japan. And with your support, your dedication, we had a very, very successful, wonderful pilgrimage. Much learning. So thank you for coming, supporting, and being here while I was absent, while Marcia was absent from New Jersey. So thank you, everybody, for that. This pilgrimage was truly like no other pilgrimage. For those of you who heard some of the reports, it's totally new and changed from previous experiences that we've had. During the pilgrimage, we had the opportunity to practice the 3 pillars of salvation with members in Japan. And I can tell you, it's a really amazing experience to be able to pray, sing, and enjoy vegan diets together with all the members. Through the homestay, we could feel how much Kyoshu-sama, Mayumi-oku-sama, Masaki-sama, Mami-oku-sama really cared for each detail and how much they really are embracing us with their love, their soning, and their prayers, representing all the members. So we had that experience there, but we are being embraced in that on a daily basis. And it was truly special. Also, we could see how through Kyoshu-sama, we're being united as one family. It's not just going, doing this trip, and then coming home. You can really feel that bond and that connection. It was really interesting, and I shared with some members, the whole time, the pilgrimage experienced a vegan diet, vegan food. This is new for everybody in Japan as well. And in the home where I was staying, for example, where I stayed for a couple of days, it was me and one other member from the pilgrimage. And you would think, how is the family receiving us going to be able to receive us and actually do vegan meals for 2 people more during the whole day while we were there? And one thing that I thought was really neat and exciting was that as we were there, the members gathered up. And it was like we had a potluck meal for every meal: breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? So as we were in the members' homes, like members would come literally deliver food. So everybody prepared a small plate. It wasn't like it was overwhelming for one person, but everybody prepared something small and then brought it over, right? So I thought that was such a neat way to receive the members that even something like that is doable here, right? Where we say, okay, we're going to have members from abroad come and visit. You don't need to, the family person that's there, receive and do everything the whole time. If everybody pitches in and does a little bit, it's so possible, so doable, and really exciting. Even one of the pilgrimage participants mentioned, said, Japan is amazing. You have one ingredient, let's say onions or carrots, and you can eat carrots every day, but they're like 10 different flavors. So you're never having the same flavor, right? Or even if it's the same plate, when it's cooked, it's so different with that love and that care. We had opportunity to visit a few vegan restaurants in Japan, which were really good. It was really exciting. But all of them couldn't match the taste and flavor that we experienced with what the members prepared. I even mentioned that we were in the group and I said, if the members were to open a restaurant here, it would be much more successful than the ones in Japan because the food was just so delicious. We even had some people who participated in the pilgrimage who were a little concerned. They said, well, I don't know if I can do vegan meal the whole time, right? if I'm going to be able to eat, or maybe I'm going to be hungry during the pilgrimage. And on the contrary, everybody enjoyed it so much. We actually gained a little bit of weight while we were on the pilgrimage instead of losing weight, right? So that was really exciting experience to be able to see, right? And that effort. So on top of that, when we got to the service, I've mentioned it before, but it's like if you want to think about heaven and what it is to really worship and glorify God in heaven, there is, I think, no better way to feel that than with um, participating in the service with Kyosh Sama. The atmosphere is just, it's undescribable. I can't put it into words. And when the chorus started to sing at the end of the service, I couldn't hold tears of joy. It literally, like I could feel my body, right? Every part of me just vibrating, resonating with that. And that's an experience that I wish for each one of you, that sometime in your life you can experience that and be a part of that. But at the same time, you don't have to go all the way to Japan to feel what it is to pray with Kirsch-sama, Mayumi-sama, Masak-sama. Masak-sama is traveling this year to Africa, and he's traveling to Brazil. In Africa, in July, we have a historic event taking place. Representing Kyoshu-sama as representative of Kyoshu, Masak-sama is consecrating the sacred grounds in Africa. So in our lifetime, us who are here right now, we get to actually experience what it is for a sacred ground to be born and to be there. And that, for sure, is going to be an unforgettable experience. And I recommend and encourage all of you who would like to go. We will be going from the US. It's going to be in July. There's only a few months, 2 months maybe, to prepare for that. So it's very, close. So reach out to your church representatives if you're interested. If you can't make it all the way to Africa, though, there's Brazil, where we're going to have the service for members all around the world. Service for ancestors all around the world. And that in itself is also a great permission, a great opportunity. So we have a pilgrimage going. It's going to be a 1-week trip that you have a little bit more time to prepare for. So I highly encourage that. Along with all this that's going on, we also have our summer camp, our first ever summer camp that's going to be taking place in July as well. It's going to be a busy month in July. I count on your support, on your prayers, on your dedication for that as well. The summer camp will be in Oregon. We're going to be receiving youth from across the country, where we're going to have this opportunity to, together with them, practice the 3 pillars of salvation: prayer, food, and music. So it's going to be really, really exciting. We're preparing very hard for that. We're really looking forward to as many people as possible participating. As you are aware, we're doing fundraisers. We have a great raffle this next month coming up for that. So we're preparing the raffle tickets for that. If you're interested and you would like to participate, even though you might not be able to be there, you can join in that as well. So these are a few things coming up, but really it's amazing to see the church so alive. So I count on you and your participation as well. Today, I'd like to ask you to remember when you first became a member a little bit. When years ago, when you first decided to join this path, I think all of us were going through something in our life at that time when we became a member. And I'd like you to remember the feeling of when you decided to join this path. Just take a second. When you became a member. And for many of us, not everybody, but for many of us, our life changed at that point, right? And when our life changed, we probably decided, I want to express my gratitude to God. I want to serve in this path. And we became a member. Some of us might have thought, I want to make this available for more people. And we decided to join this path, right? And I think that was a great turning point for many of us. And as time passed, you might have not had that change originally, but I'm sure throughout the years, our lives changed. So much so that if you think about it now, if I go back and I were not a member, try to imagine what your life might have been like throughout the years. Can you picture yourself going through all the issues you went through in life without knowing Meishu Sama? I know I can't. I can't fathom what that would be like. All the difficulties, all the challenges, all the joys I've experienced without knowing Meishu Sama. And what was it for Meishu Sama when he came to know God? When he decided to serve? Today we heard in the hymn, right? We don't have to go far and look and say in Meishu Sama's sacred word, he said, "Oh God, when I think about the happiness of my being saved, there is nothing I can do but repay you with all my body and heart." That's Meishu Sama's deepest feeling, right? To repay God his gratitude for being saved. There is nothing I can do but repay you with all my body and heart. But I think that if we think about our life story as a member over the years, over many experiences that brought us where we are today, for some of us, maybe we lost track. Why was it that I was here in the first place? Why did I become a member? Or maybe, what's the purpose of this church, right? I'm a member, but what is my role here? What are we doing here? I think that's a question many of us have had over time. So, for that, I think it's important for us to actually look at the sacred word we saw today. What is the church all about? Why was this church created? Maybe we didn't know why we became members years ago, why God brought us here today to this point. But Meishu Sama clearly stated that, right? What did Meishu Sama say? Anybody? He said, from now on, the world will face large-scale destruction and creation. Alas, we are about to enter such a crucial time in history. One must know how the great love of God is going to manifest itself in the coming days. To put it plainly, every single person will be judged into two groups, ones who will perish and ones who will survive. Regrettably, this process cannot be stopped, but out of His grace, God wishes to save as many people as possible from the ones who are destined to die out. To this end, God will choose someone who will act on His behalf, and through that person, God will carry out His great work of salvation. World Church of Messiah will be used by God in order to fulfill His mission. So the mission of our church is truly grave, to say the least. Melcher is saying, right? The mission of our church is to truly fulfill God's will. And it's truly grave, to say the least. Have we ever thought about our church having such an importance? Because if our church has that mission, then we, who are the church, the members, have a huge mission. Somebody mentioned today, reading the sacred word, it's really hard to understand what Melcher is saying, right? And I totally agree. As Masak Sama has mentioned, right? Melcher sacred word, Melcher words, are the hardest thing to understand since the beginning of the written language. That means it's harder than the Bible. It's harder than any philosophical book you're going to read. The hardest thing to understand. So what does it mean to fulfill this will of God? If we are not reading, here's some sacred words, Masak some sacred words, we're never going to get this. That's just the reality. Furthermore, Melcher Sama says, which I think is very interesting here, I am going to appear on the main stage. Accordingly, it is inevitable that the way we advance our divine work, including our organizational structure, the form of our activities, and everything else that we have been doing up until now will change. In fact, everything will be born anew. During the past month, I heard a comment like this: our church is changing so much. It's not the church I used to know. I don't know if this is for me anymore. But Melcher Sama is sharing here, to fulfill this will of God, our church will change. Everything will be born anew. Now, when I started speaking with you today, I asked you to remember what it was like when you became a member, right? Why? Because I am sure, at least for me, I can say that, when we became members in my family and decided to follow Melcher Sama, we had no idea what this church was. No idea. We knew it was some Japanese church religion that helped people. I mean, very honestly, very bluntly, right? Not to make it any less important, but it was like, where do you go? Oh, I go to that Japanese church that helps people. That's it, right? Were we concerned when we first became members of how Melcher Sama was directing the church? What Melcher Sama wanted out of the church? No. I think we don't even know how to ask that question at that time, right? We just said, it works for me. My life changed. I'm on board. So where does it happen that along the years, as Melcher Sama continues to direct the church and guide us to fulfill the mission that God wants for us, we start saying, it's not the church I used to know. I don't think it's for me. Does it make sense? When we first became a member, we didn't even know what the church was. And then we're comparing and saying, it's not the church I used to know. I'm not judging anybody here. I'm just getting everybody to reflect on the words that we are expressing about Melcher Sama's church. That's it. It doesn't make sense. On the contrary, as the years passed and you come to know Melcher Sama's church for what it truly is and why your life changed, wouldn't it be the opposite? Shouldn't our hearts and our feeling be more like the one that Melcher Sama is expressing? As the years pass, shouldn't our feelings be stronger toward that? I mean, logically, if you think about it, right? I can't imagine my life without Meishu Sama. I can't. So naturally, I have to repay God with all my body and soul. But then we have feelings like, oh, but I can serve God anywhere. I don't need to be at church to express my gratitude to God, right? God is alive in me. Why can't I do my service somewhere else? Yes, God is alive in us. Yes, you're serving God 24/7. But why did God call you to this path so many years ago when you became a member? Why is God teaching us to surrender our life and soul, our body and heart, as Meishu Sama did? Our feeling should be, I want to surrender my life, my whole life, not just a few hours of my day, not just when I have a little bit left. Surrender everything, like Meishu Sama, right? If our recognition truly is that we were saved, then you don't do the leftovers, do you? It's like you're preparing a special meal for your family, somebody you really love. Let's say it's their birthday. What do we usually do? We go out, we buy the best ingredients, right? And we're thinking, oh, I want to prepare the most special food. It can be simple, but with all that love, all that joy, for them to enjoy that day, for me to show my appreciation, right? Usually, you don't go and you pick up the scraps of what's left. And you say, oh, here, heat this up. Enjoy your day. That's not the normal process, is it? But why do we do that with God? Then we have feelings, as I was saying, right? Well, maybe I can do this somewhere else. I mean, the church changed so much. I don't understand it. Maybe it's not for me to go. Maybe God is showing me for me to be somewhere else. Think about this for a second. Does that make sense? God invested in you all these years, saved your life, changed your life, your family's life. For one day, God said, yeah, go somewhere else. Think about all the time and energy, if we could put it in that way, of preparing you to follow Meishu Sama in the truest sense, for you to have a feeling, and that's God saying to you, this is not a place for you. Would that make sense? For me, it doesn't. I mean, even in business, right? If you take an employee, this is just general, right? I can't compare it to God. And the employee comes in raw, and you spend all this time and energy for them to grow and to become a better employee. And after all that, you try and say, this is not for you. It doesn't make sense, right? Usually. But why do we have those feelings then? You can say, I can't negate that I'm having these feelings, right? And I think that's where we need to understand why it's so crucial what Kyosho Sama is sharing with us. That's the only way we're going to understand this sacred word of Meishu Sama. Meishu Sama says in this sacred word today, God is going to clearly separate the good and the evil, strengthen the good and obliterate the evil. We must blot out evil and completely finish it off. Naturally, then, the saving power has to be decisive, and this power is the great divine power of God that the Messiah exercised. What does Meishu Sama mean by obliterate the evil? So we can say, oh, I'm in this church now, right? If we're going to interpret it with our understanding, human, I'm right, everybody else is wrong, I'm here to banish everything. I don't think that's what Meishu Sama is saying. For a long time, that's what I thought Meishu Sama was saying, because I wasn't reading Kyosama's sacred words. I wasn't reading Masek-sama's sacred words. But what does Kyosama say about this? And I've shared this before in a service, but I think it's good to go back. In Glory, number 25, Kyosama, regarding this part of Meishu Sama's sacred word, he says, I believe that to separate the good and the evil means that you are allowed to know whether you yourself have rebelled against God or not. This is such a great blessing. To be able to realize that we have rebelled against God, that there are sins within ourselves, we must repent. Doesn't that mean that we are gradually getting to the truth of the matter? Isn't it because we are able to come in contact with the truth that we are now able to think and feel that we must repent, that we are sinners? So, obliterate the evil where? In each one of us. How? The very thoughts and feelings that we're having. So that thought, for example, I don't need church. I can serve God anywhere. Why go today? What's the point? That's the very thought that we're being allowed to know that God forgave. It's not God talking to us saying, you don't need to go to church anymore. You don't need to serve anymore. You can do it anywhere. Wouldn't make sense. God is allowing us to obliterate that evil that exists in us. God's desire is for us to become his children, right? To return to him, to live and serve him inseparably. It wouldn't be to separate us from him. Masek-sama, in his sacred word, A Glorious Future We Near, he shares, right, what the true mission of a follower of Meishu Sama is. And in that, he shares like this. He says, I mean, if nothing else, many of you joined Sekai Kyuseikyo, World Church of Salvation, didn't you? That was the church's name before it resurrected, right? World Church of Messiah resurrected. A church with teachings that is supposed to save the world, right? If you don't want to save the world, or if you want blessings only for yourself, then there is no need to join Meishu Sama's religion. After all, Meishu Sama's purpose is to save all humanity. It is pointless to simply pray and wish for something good, he says later on. In that case, you don't have to be a follower of Meishu Sama. You can just go to a nearby temple or shrine, make a monetary offering, and that's enough. A true follower of Meishu Sama is here to save, right? If you just want to receive blessings, you can do that anywhere. Go, pray to God, do a monetary offering anywhere. You're on the receiving end. And then he says, regarding our thoughts and feelings, and this I think is so important also. We may think that I am stuck, I am lonely, I am hopeless. Nobody can understand how I feel. I have hit rock bottom. But this rock bottom place we are in, this is where God descends to. For it is written that God descends to the place most low, right? We have long thought that we were suffering on our own, but that's not the case. The one who dwells in the place most high comes down to the place most low, that is, the place where we are. Why does God do that? It is for him to save the place most low. God is saying to us, you are experiencing this so that we can bring salvation to this. That's what he's saying. That's how the evil is being obliterated. That's not written here, but connecting the two. God descends to the place most low. What is the place most low, he asks? It is none other than our lives, isn't it? In our daily lives, we suffer, we struggle, right? And struggle, right? But we are not alone in this. The Messiah is within us, with us. He is together with us, descending to the lowest pit. Canon turned into Messiah, right? So the Messiah is with us. So till this day, humanity has been rejecting God, moving away from God, saying, I don't need God. I can serve God my way. I believe this is how God thinks. God should be doing this. If I were God, I would do that. Those are the very feelings in our daily lives, in the place most low, that the Messiah is coming to save through us. So as a follower of Meishu Sama, it's normal to have those feelings. You're going to have them because the Messiah is coming to the place most low to save them. What's not normal as a follower of Meishu Sama is to interpret Meishu Sama's sacred word as I would like it to be, under my convenience, what I think it should be, and say, this is what God is saying to me, so I don't need to do this. That's not normal, guys. That happens because we're not reading, because we're not studying. Because if we're studying, if we're reading what Kirch Sama Masak Sama are saying, it makes total sense. And you say, no, I want to do more. I want to serve more, naturally. When Meishu Sama says, serve with all my heart, all my soul, with all my body and heart. That's Meishu Sama's desire for each one of us. He's alive within each one of us. And he's saying, I want to serve with all body and heart as ones. That's what's happening. That's what those feelings are. Don't misunderstand. Don't be misled by those many thoughts and feelings that we're here to obliterate. It's not rejecting the thoughts and feelings. It's saving them, acknowledging them. I see you. You've come to me. You think like that. That's nice. You're forgiven and saved. In the name of Messiah, let's return to heaven. We're here to serve with all our body and heart. That's our mission. That's what we're being led to. That's what I could feel during the pilgrimage, for example. Kyoshu-sama, Mayumi-oku-sama, Masaki-sama, Mami-oku-sama, with their body and heart, are being the true example of what Meishu-sama is and how Meishu-sama lives. There's not one moment that we're not enveloped in that love, in that sone. And I think we have a duty as members of Meishu Sama to bring that to more people, to expose that to more people. And that's what the spirit, that's the spirit I want to serve with each one of you here today. We have a very big, big mission, as Meishu Sama says, grave to say the least. We're here to fulfill that. So let's do it with all our body and heart. One of the pilgrimage participants mentioned, he said, if I'm not understanding what's going on, this is his conclusion, and I'm paraphrasing, so I apologize if you're watching, but he said, after experiencing everything he experienced in the pilgrimage, he said, if I'm not understanding what's going on, if I'm not following properly, it's not because Masek Sama's words are hard. It's not because things are changing, right? It's because I'm not studying. I'm not reading. Because I'm being exposed. He said the person in charge is always calling to come study in the meetings, right? To learn, to go deeper, to serve more. He says, I'm the one not seeking. I'm the one not going, right? It's the same for each one of us. Maybe someone's calling us tirelessly. Here's someone's calling us tirelessly, breaking it down for us so we don't have to take this sacred word that's the hardest thing to understand and do it on our own and truly follow the correct way. So let's do that. Let's prepare. Let's meet with representative of Kyoshu in Africa, in Brazil. You don't even have to go across the world. You can go to the same hemisphere. He's coming all the way here. What's our priorities? What are we looking at? And for those of us who can't travel physically, we can still do it here. We can make it possible that more people have that experience when they here in the US as well. Let's work toward that, okay? After the service today, we have a vegan potluck, small vegan potluck. You guys can feel free to enjoy. Might be having something in your local churches. Let's make this pillar of salvation available to more and more people. Thank you so much. May all honor, may all glory be returned to God always. To more and more people. Thank you so much. May all honor, may all glory be returned to God always.